Hello and welcome to the Path to Santa Ana. I'm your host, Nikita Wraithwell Buffy. I'm here in the garage. We're about to start day 2 of Main Stage Group B. It should be an exciting day. Yesterday was action-packed. We had a number of really close games, ended up with Ago, who were the favorites, taking it all. Today, we'll have to wait and see what happens, but for more on that, I'm going to throw it over to Costa's desk with Hawker and Squid.
Thanks very much, Nikita. And as he said, an action-packed day. It certainly will, well, I think it will definitely deliver. If you've got any predictions for today, obviously, Squid, Hawker, action-packed day, as we said. Any sort of preliminary notes that you have to say?
I mean, if you look at the overall group, I think for the most part, most people are going to expect Kinguin and Pride to be the two main competitors here. The two Polish teams, we could see yet another Polish team make it through.
Yeah, and obviously, a lot of Polish blood in this group stage. Obviously, the main stage includes 4 out of 8 of the teams are actually Polish, so a lot of Polish blood today. And obviously, that brings exciting Counter-Strike. We've had 2 Polish teams yesterday, 2 today in the form of Pride and Kinguin. They'll be facing off in that second match, or certainly Pride will. In fact, the first, will be Kinguin versus Squared. So obviously, seeming like a one-sided matchup initially. Do you kind of agree with that sentiment?
Yeah, I can't look beyond Kinguin in this first game, mainly just because they again have the players, they have the pedigree on their side, really, whereas Squared, to be fair, it's a nice storyline for them to get here even. They lost their first game in their group against Epsilon, they came back, they took a very, very tight win, and we'll get to see if maybe that can continue for them. They do, of course, have the losers bracket to try and play from, but I think they have got, of course, a fairly tough group here even in the first game.
Yeah. So going through in Kinguin certainly have some shaky results. We're obviously seeing that lineup now. Mihu probably being the biggest name out of the 5 there. A loss versus Hellraisers, win versus Good Job, obviously in the initial stages of the FCDB Cup. Obviously, a bit of a mixed bag of results there, I would say, from Kinguin. So I don't know if I'm necessarily impressed with their recent performance. When you're talking about the Polish scene and how much practice they get, you are led to believe that they probably should be up there fighting for that tier 1 spot, but they're not kind of there right now, right?
Yeah, they did finish second at that FCDB Cup, but again, the competition wasn't necessarily great, and they still couldn't beat out Hellraisers in the final. It was actually Angel, surprisingly, who was really fragging well there. So that's obviously going to help Hellraisers when he's in-game leading. But nonetheless, it does always kind of feel like who can step up to help out Mihu, who oftentimes is the best player for the team. He himself has even had struggles against Tier 1 opposition when he's had the chances, sometimes standing in for Virtus Pro, still not quite performing. So there are still question marks as to whether they can break out into Tier 1, but they're certainly a well-established team for where they are.
That's one of the heartbreaking factors about the Polish scene as well, because when you get a shooting star like Mihu, who seems to be firing on all cylinders, seems to be having brilliant performances, he then kind of recedes, backs off, and can't make it happen, and then has a poor streak. That's probably why we haven't really seen Virtus Pro during their slumps make any changes, because there isn't any obvious 6th star, right?
Yeah, it's pretty tough to know exactly who to get in, because even the best players are going to have their issues. It's always a big jump to take. And even though some of the Polish teams, such as Ago, have been performing well, it's not necessarily an individual player that you can look at and think to yourself, yes, this is who I want. It's more the team play aspect that's working well for them. And that's not something that you can necessarily just take one player and integrate that into the team. It's more sort of the team aspect that's allowing them to find success.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common among the 4 teams that we've got today as well. We haven't got any massive stars. Like yesterday, we were obviously seeing Joxic hit crazy AWP shots, absolutely open up, especially the B side of Inferno. Today, I don't feel like we have that sort of superstar potential. Instead, it's how you're going to be able to put together a default as a team. Squared, they're going to need somebody to step up, possibly Uric, maybe even Impulse, probably being the 2 bigger names there out of a relatively unknown team.
Yeah, I'd say Impulse is the name I'd look at the most. He played at WESG with the Serbian Resistance team, which he did have a fairly good showing at, especially considering Resistance did struggle so heavily. The fact that he did individually at least show up, that's certainly something to maybe work from. But still, for him to maybe be a star player, I think is asking a lot. I think he would work better if there was a clear star of the team, and I don't think that's there for Squared.
Yeah, and yet again, another mixed bag of results from Squared. Obviously, good wins, but also pretty devastating losses. Squared seemed to be that team who really did upset in the group stage, obviously beating Epsilon. I think it's not too controversial to say that Group A, the group that they made it out of, was probably the weaker of the four.
Yeah, but they did show improvement to beat Epsilon in that second game, so that's always a positive sign for them. I do think that Epsilon lineup has certainly been a bit shaky once they've gone for the full Swedish roster, so you can kind of take from that what you will, but still, if they can continue to try and show those signs of improvement, maybe even if they lose this first game, see if they can find improvements from that, take some mistakes they made, improve that for the lower bracket, there's still a chance. It's just a very, very tough ask against a team like Kinguin.
Yeah, and of course, we've got a couple of moments before this game starts. So talking about Epsilon, obviously out of Group A, didn't make it through, beaten by Squared in that final. Of course, best of one on train. That went pretty close. The margins didn't seem to be all there, but obviously wasn't like a standout performance from Squared by any means. It seemed like Epsilon couldn't really get it going, couldn't really get their stars firing. Do you think maybe Smooya would have been a bit of a difference maker there?
Yeah, I think, again, Epsilon, after they've gone to this Swedish lineup, it seems like they're trying to play around Jay-Z Walkings. Yeah. He's been good, but I don't think you can rely so much on him being that superstar player that he would need to be for this roster to work. So I think that's the main issue for this new all-Swedish team. As we get to look at the groups as well, I guess we can also recap the main stage A in case anyone missed it. AGO, they did take the win, maybe a little bit closer in some of the games than they would have hoped for, but getting it through in the end with that 3-0 score.
Yeah, it felt like they woke up as the day progressed. Their first game being exceptionally close. I think it went to overtime, a 19-17 scoreline. They had a 16-14 in there as well. But as it got to that winners match and decided matches, as we got later into the night, somebody had a bit of a nap. We had a bit of a break and a pause, but AGO did actually pull through in the end. And that last game against Valiance was pretty convincing. Obviously, only a 16-11, if I remember rightly, but it seemed like they were always in control of that matchup. Seemed like they were never really threatened all too much. Valiance had a couple of shines, had a couple of sparks, but couldn't really pull off the upset.
Yeah, certainly. And we could also talk about some of the other teams in this group. We haven't really touched on Pride and Windigo too much yet. Again, the other Polish teams in the mix. It seems like from what we've seen from Pride, I think their team is somewhat well set up. They have a couple of players that can play very consistently. Morelts and Reitz seem to always perform at a decent level, particularly Morelts, actually. He's been consistently a good above-average player, and then Reitz is sort of a consistently average performer for the team. He'll just kind of get the job done, do what he has to do, and then the question just becomes, if Manice can show up, then I think that really sets them up very, very well into this group. But that's still a question that has to be answered. Manice can be a bit up and down.
Yeah, that's something that a lot of Polish teams don't have, consistency. We talk about it when we're really relaying Virtus Pro and even Kinguin, but Pride have that kind of fundamental cornerstone?
Yeah, I think it's not necessarily that the team overall has consistency. It's just those two players, I think, provide a really nice backbone for the team overall. And then you do still have the up and down players that maybe won't show up all the time, but because you have those two players to fall back on, you always, I think, are going to get at least a decent performance out of Pride.
Yeah, so are we really predicting them to do well today? Are we predicting them to be the team from Group B to get to that final stage?
It's pretty tough, I think, between them and Kinguin. I think those are the two clear favorites heading into today. They'll obviously know each other fairly well in the Polish scene. It's really tough to call. I think, to be honest, it's mainly down to how Kinguin play more than anything, because if Kinguin show up as their sort of names could, then I think they should be favored to take it. But as I was saying, Pride certainly still have their own upsides, and even with Pride having that somewhat consistency with those two players, you've still got Manice, who can sometimes take over a game.
Yeah, obviously, Polish soil, lots of leagues, lots of common leagues. Polish teams seem to always be playing against each other in these GeForce Cups, like Polish editions of them. WESG had a big foot in Poland as well. Do you feel like that's really going to have a hand in the result today and how well these teams really know each other compared to other European opposition?
Yeah, that certainly could be an interesting factor. I mean, I guess we are maybe getting ahead of ourselves a bit. We are still going to have to wait and see if they actually do face each other. But I think it's fair to say if they do, that will be an interesting factor. We kind of saw in the WESG stuff, for Poland especially, a lot of really interesting games there. I think Virtus.pro even got knocked out initially, and then there was some callbacks, there was some issues, and they got back in eventually. And you kind of saw that the Polish scene does certainly have the potential to now maybe upset Virtus.pro. I say upset, I mean, who even knows with Virtus.pro?
It's very up and down, isn't it? A very scattish and skitty team, and but we really can't place Virtus.pro. Sometimes they'll be dropping out in the group stage of, as you said, WESG, and other times they'll be one round from winning Epicenter. They are the most hot and cold team on the planet, and it's kind of been that way for maybe 3 years now, maybe since the inception of this lineup back in 2013, 2014.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. It just seems like now there's a bit more of the cold than the hot, I guess you could say. Only really showing up every now and then. I guess the one team we haven't really touched on is Windigo, the Bulgarian team here. They did play at the minor, but they couldn't play with Victor. Of course, he has I think he has that VAC ban issue, so he couldn't play there, and that I think did kind of cost them pretty heavily. They actually played a very close map against Envy in the first best of one, but then they went against Godsent in the losers match, best of 3. They got stomped out of the tournament. I think that's obviously against very good opposition, but since the minor, that was quite long ago. We haven't really seen them compete against too many good teams.
Yeah, and it's kind of upsetting that those VAC bans have kind of plagued the Bulgarian scene, with Victor always being in that top team, previously EFrag, then Imperials, now Windigo being pretty much the only cornerstone of Bulgarian Counter-Strike. Do you think that that's probably going to play a part in why they haven't breached the Tier 1?
I mean, it is somewhat tough, but at the same time, there are a lot of opportunities for them still. There's plenty of qualifiers out there that they could try and play in, and even if those qualifiers are grueling, the opportunities you can get out of them are great. I mean, you are starting to see teams, I think even Binary Dragons recently, they got to play at a tournament, I think it was in America. They went out. I mean, they didn't necessarily get the results, but they got the opportunity for themselves. We've seen North Academy recently win some qualifiers. So
this tournament? This tournament as well.
Yeah.
It gives teams a brilliant opportunity to go to Esports Arena for the Legends Cup over in February 2018. Obviously, huge opportunities for teams who don't always get that international LAN experience to get on a plane, go out to Santa Ana, and actually play some Counter-Strike.
Yeah, exactly. And these are teams that Windigo can certainly compete with. You would think they should be able to compete here. So, yeah, certainly plenty of opportunities. I think the Counter-Strike scene is rife right now, and there's so many chances for them. So I think if they don't make it, they only really have themselves to blame. Yeah,
and today, Windigo, obviously very tough Polish opposition. Yeah. I think that they're not favored against either Pride or Kinguin. Do you think that it's a falter of individual standard or team play? Why do you think Windigo don't have the edge against this Polish opposition?
I mean, it's fairly tough. I think the main thing, we were kind of talking about this earlier, the fact that Cirque has gone over to NA, missing from the Bulgarian scene as a whole. He was obviously, I think, if you were ever going to have a really competitive Bulgarian team internationally, it felt like he was going to have to be the cornerstone of that. And now that's not a possibility. It feels like Victor on Windigo has been good. I don't really know who else can step up. Bubble's been fairly good, but there's still, I think, a lot of inconsistency issues in the whole roster.
It felt like when Cirque was part of that team, he was dominating every single map, and especially if you got them onto Overpass, got them onto Cobblestone, those maps where he can get up and aggressive, up close and personal, it felt like Cirque was always going to be that dominant force that you've always got to be scared of. It's like, right, I'm placing a smoke here. Is Cirque just going to wreck me?
Yeah.
It's like, he was that sort of star power, and people who maybe don't watch as much North American Counter-Strike probably haven't seen that in NA, but as of late. But in NRG, he's also been performing.
Yeah, he's certainly proven as well that clearly he can carry that over. So that's really nice to see. That's got to be encouraging for these guys, that maybe if they put some more time in, if they got to that point, they don't have to necessarily be sort of stuck in this scene. If they do have motivation issues, they can just look at someone like Cirque and think to yourselves, well, there's chances everywhere. There's international opportunities all over.
I've often heard the Balkan scene described as like a cage, which is very difficult to get out of, especially for these players who maybe don't have the financial backing to maybe fly over to America and stuff. And you really do need the real punch, and Cirque did have that, being just the best AWPer, like by far, of the Balkan region. I remember that HLTV piece that was written about him as well. Can you remember that?
Yeah.
They really brought him to light into a new level, and people who really don't watch this tier Counter-Strike really got to read about him and learn who he was, and maybe that had a big hand in why he got picked up for such a big move.
Yeah, I think it certainly could have. I think just looking at the stats alone, like, you don't even really have to watch the games. You can just see this guy is on another level compared to the teams he's playing against, and it was fairly consistent as well. So I think just based on stats alone, you can look at it and say this probably won't be a bad pickup. Like, it's worth a shot, right?
Yeah, and obviously, Wendigo now, they don't have that star power. They're going to have to rely on teamwork pretty much. Of course, they've got some players who can really step up, but probably not to the level of Cirque. Do you think that their team play is above and beyond the other teams here?
It's kind of tough to say. It still feels like this team, as a lineup specifically, are a little bit inexperienced. I haven't really got to see them too much. They haven't really been playing too many tournaments, so it's kind of tough to exactly know. I think this is a really good sort of base to test this team, because we've seen them maybe play against some of the lower tier opposition. Now they've got to do it against teams like Pride and Kinguin, who I think are very sort of solid tier 2 teams that are not going to be easy to beat.
Yeah, and of course, Wendigo, a mixed match of ex-Imperials who really didn't play too much Counter-Strike, and Outlaws who used to play seemingly every single tournament, every single one of these betting site tournaments, all over Europe as well, just all of the online Counter-Strike, trying to get to any land that they could claw their fingers into. And Imperial were quite the opposite, playing only a mixed match of tournaments. Obviously, Bulgaria often, as I said before, can be that cage. It's very difficult to be invited to events, and ever since that EFRAG lineup broke down and couldn't reach the top echelon of tier 2 and break into tier 1, because back in 2014/15 it felt like EFRAG were really going to break into the tier 1, led by Victor and Bubble, maybe some of the best aimers in the world at the time.
Yeah, they were also doing it at a couple of LANs as well. That was the main thing, and that's not something we've seen from this roster really since. I guess we should maybe, again, go back to just overall predictions for this group. I was kind of saying it mainly just depends on how Kinguin performed today, so maybe we'll get to see that in this opening game against Squared. But what about your thoughts? Do you have any strong opinions heading into this group?
I don't necessarily have any strong opinions. I feel like Pride could be a bit of a sleeper agent when it comes to their matchup versus Kinguin. Perhaps people are going to assume that the bigger name, the bigger brand behind Kinguin are probably going to take it home. I feel like Pride, a good set of recent results as well. We just saw them playing against Ago and taking that first map. They were 9-1 up at the time. I'm not sure how that really shaped out towards the end, but I feel like Pride, you can't sleep on them. They're going to show up today. They're not going to just fall flat. And well, unfortunately for the rest of these teams, I think that they're going to be a real difficult set of opposition.
Yeah, I think we will have to see how the best of ones affect them. They do like to first pick Mirage a lot of the time, and in these best of threes, that's almost always going to be an option for you. Not many teams are really going to ban Mirage first, so that's really what they've relied on for a fair amount of their wins, and we'll have to see deeper into the map pool what they go towards. Sometimes they do actually keep Nuke in the mix and show some willingness to play it. I would be interested to see if that's sort of a gambit or if they actually can show up and actually perform on that map. There's a lot of interesting things in the vetoes as well.
I feel unfortunate for them. Nuke probably won't be played today. All of the other three teams will probably want to be banning it out fairly quickly. I don't think that they'll be banning it out exceptionally early. I don't think it'll be in their top 3, but if they can get to Mirage, that's pretty much a free win against almost any of these teams here. Perhaps Kinguin might roll the dice and decide, oh, maybe we'll challenge these guys on this map. Obviously, a Polish brawl on Mirage. Love to see it.
Yeah, the thing is, even if Nuke won't be played here, it does still, of course, give them that advantage in the veto. The opponents have to ban Nuke, and you can maybe get to a slightly better map for yourself. And it kind of feels like with Nuke, you don't necessarily even have to put too much time in. If you just show a couple of results, a lot of teams are just not going to want to play you on that map.
Yeah, and obviously a lot of teams really droop down on it, and with Inferno coming into the map pool as well, being a bit more popular in that sense, people are like, okay, right, we can keep Nuke down and we can just pick up Inferno again. It plays effectively the same as before. We quite like it. The levels on Nuke as well are very tough to contend with. And I feel like if you want a strong T side on Nuke, you need a good outside execute. And a lot of teams maybe don't want to put the work in, or just feel like we don't need it. We can focus on the other 6 maps. We can really just leave that out and forget about it. But I think some of the best teams in the world, they like playing all 7 maps. FaZe, for instance, from the very start, Kerrigan said, I want to play all 7 maps. He said it hurt them a lot, but coming into like the recent run of results, it means that FaZe can really pick their poison against any enemy.
Yeah, exactly, and something as well, it always allows Kerrigan to, if he wants to, throw in a map that you might not expect him to play. It always allows, you can throw the opposition off guard, and that's always a factor that can't be underestimated, especially if your opponents are trying to get some research in, assuming they're going to play this map. Well, all of that's wasted if you throw out a nuke or something that isn't necessarily something you were planning for.
Yeah, I think that's one of the advantages of having such a superstar lineup as well, such as FaZe. 5 players who play so much Counter-Strike, of course, all of them are good at any map. Maybe Guardian might lapse on Cash a little bit, since Na'Vi never played it throughout the 3-year tenure that he had on that CIS squad. But of course, he can pick that up. He can decide, yeah, I'm gonna learn it. I'm gonna play it a lot more now and really step up. It just shows the real advantage of having a strong map pool.
Yeah, certainly. Something else I was thinking about. Do you have any thoughts on who's going to be maybe the best performer, like a standout player from any teams? Maybe not even from the teams that are going to win, but someone who you think will step up and really be the big player for his team? Or do you think, for the most part, as you were kind of saying earlier, you think a lot of these teams are more team-based?
Yeah, I not somebody who I would put maybe my money on if you're putting your money on ArcaneBet, for instance, but I probably would say Victor and Bubble definitely have that fast, snappy aim. They've got the experience as well. Obviously, $25,000 on the line. They're likely not going to fluster under the pressure. So possibly if they can step up, hit their shots, but remember, they've got to play at least 3 best of ones. They've got to keep that performance up all 3 maps. That's one of the advantages of our format, that every match really does matter in the double elimination GSL format. Every team, every player needs to give their all in every single match. Otherwise, you're going down to the bottom bracket, another loss and you're out.
Yeah, and it also allows the chance for some really cool storylines. If someone goes down to the lower bracket, comes back up, manages to get their way through, battle back, maybe learn from their mistakes, or maybe even try and play a different map. That's always a possibility. We kind of even saw that in Group A, as I was alluding to earlier, with Square coming back to beat Epsilon. So it really just allows a lot of cool stuff to come through, and you can make sure that you do get the best team to make it all the way through.
And of course, we will see Squared in this opening match here, who might provide that Cinderella storyline straight into the winners match if they can actually beat our fan favorites Kinguin in an initial best of 1. Have you got any suggestions or pointers of where maybe the map pool will verge for this best of 1?
In terms of this first map, I think it's fairly tough to say. I mean, on the Kinguin side of things, I would very much not like to see Squared go towards Mirage or Cobble. Those are the 2 maps that Kinguin is certainly going to be very, very comfortable on. Something maybe more in the middle would be something like a Cash, but then you run the risk of Kinguin just overrunning you in terms of skill. It's a very open map, so it's fairly tough to say. Maybe one of those middle maps, maybe something like a Train, but then you're contending with the AWP again. It's always a tricky one. It's fairly tough to see where they can go. When
you have the AWP disadvantage, it's very hard to actually pick your map, because obviously the new iteration of CSGO with like Overpass has been in the map pool for a hell of a long time at this point, but obviously when that got brought in, I think that we saw a lot of the star AWPers really start to step up. That's when we saw the resurgence of players like Kenny S and co, and obviously long distance engagements definitely favors that AWP. And when you have the AWP disadvantage, the point that I was getting onto, it really does black out a lot of the maps that you can potentially go to, which means that you have to have solid executes on Mirage, for instance, where the AWP might be less effective.
Yeah, certainly. Again, the best way to counter an AWP is obviously going to be use your utility.
Shoot them in the head.
Or just shoot them in the head. That's tough, though. It's not easy.
With one of these guns that we've got in our beautiful little Legend Series backdrop. Should I take one? Should I pick one up?
Are you going to shoot me in the head?
I'm not going to shoot
That'd be pretty
you.
rude.
I'm gonna shoot you. Look at
Shoot the
this.
camera?
Oh,
Shoot Twitch. Oh,
I'm breaking the set.
you're nearly breaking it.
Bam.
Oh.
Welcome to ELC. There we go.
You need like some shades. You need to put on some shades. Become like.
I don't have any
turn it into an
shades.
action
I don't
movie.
have the budget for that. Should I? Your shades?
These aren't shades.
not much shade.
I would not be able to see if you took these away. Please don't.
Would you not? Is your eyesight that bad?
It's pretty bad.
Could you read? Pass me your glasses.
Okay. What do you want me to read?
Is it that bad? Can you
bad.
read this?
No, I can read that.
Can you read that up there?
What, Challenge Me or MountainDew?
Yeah, no, MountainDew.
MountainDew,
Or Challenge Me.
Yeah,
I don't
Challenge
know.
Me as well. It's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad.
It's capable. I can't see myself. Like I'm very blurry over there.
Really? You can't
Yeah.
see that? You can't see yourself?
Yeah. Twitch chat must be
terrible.
loving this because they,
Yeah.
they can't see any of this. I'm just
We're
pointing at a screen that they can't see.
Yeah. So, by the way, guys, just a little update. We're just waiting for both teams to get into the lobby and get all the shenanigans done and complete the vetoes, get into the server and everything. So, us two talking about glasses and poor eyesight and stuff certainly isn't hindering the map. Maybe you should get the chat out, see what they're saying. They may be saying start the match. Do you want to do that?
I'm all right.
You're all right. Okay.
I'm all right.
Well, he doesn't want to hear you. Spam riot.
You know, I want to talk about knife rounds. I want to see more teams, especially in the first game of the day, like either lose the knife round on purpose to start on T side or just choose to start on T side.
Yeah.
I feel like starting on T side, you can just dictate the pace so easily. I understand why teams kind of want to start CT if they want to just warm up their aim early on. But if you start on T, especially if you're the underdog, if you kind of catch them off guard, go for a fast play, it's not a bad idea to start T side and try and get a lead early.
Yeah, especially on those maps such as Cobblestone, Mirage, Cache as well. Nip commonly choose or used to choose the T side first, just to get your aim warmed up as well. Online like this, we've had a bit of a break. I expect a lot of these players are probably playing on Deathmatch right now. I think that they're probably getting right into the mix and deciding to get warmed up because obviously best of ones, you don't have much margin for error, do you?
Yeah, I mean, again, luckily there is the losers bracket. That's, again, we've been singing the praises of the format, but that's certainly useful to have in there.
Hallelujah.
We're the best, I guess.
Yeah, Squid CS is the best. That is what they all say. So if you have to put your money on one team making it out of this group to the final stage, where are you putting your chips? Where are you putting your ArcaneBet chips?
Probably, I'll lean towards Kinguin. I do kind of like the Pride team more in terms of how they play, but I just kind of feel like the Kinguin team has a bit more talent. They have a bit more potential to be able to, if the players show up, really take over. And even though maybe Pride, as I've kind of been saying, have that backbone, I don't necessarily think that alone is enough to pull them through.
Certainly so. And is it just based off superior teamwork that you're saying that Kinguin are probably going to take it over the other Polish opposition?
I think teamwork-wise, the teams are fairly similar. Maybe even Pride might be slightly better. I think it's mainly just the players on Kinguin, I think, can perform a little bit more up, if you like, overall. They can have those games where, especially when one player takes over a game, that's really, really valuable, especially in a best-of-one format. And I think Kinguin have more potential for that and more players that could really just make their mark on a game. Yeah,
I'll be honest with you. I feel like it's actually pretty difficult to analyze these games because all the teams here are very hit and miss. So Wendigo probably the most stable in their, like, you know how they're going to perform every single time. Although, I'm pretty much basing that off of X-Outlaws because that's where they make up the bulk of their team. And Imperial, you kind of know where they're standing. You know what you're going to really get out of them. With this mixed match of players, maybe they're a bit of an unknown quantity as well. Obviously, Squared, we don't know much about them. They don't play much Counter-Strike at this level. We're expecting them to lose ferociously, maybe 16 threes, perhaps. And then Kinguin and Pride sometimes step up, sometimes don't.
Yeah, I think the main one I think is certainly Wendigo. The fact that again we haven't really seen them. They've been this roster for a while. We haven't really seen them play too much. So, and when we have seen them play, it's not been against necessarily strong opposition, and they're still kind of struggling sometimes to get those wins. A couple of poor losses in the mix there. So, I don't really know how I feel about this Wendigo team. I don't really think they're going to challenge too much.
It's incredibly hit and miss when you're not even taking a decent scoreline against even the mildest of opposition when the matches aren't too hot. And I'm a bit disappointed that we haven't seen all too much of them so far. I do like a bit of Bulgarian Counter-Strike. I certainly do. And, more commonly when Cirque was part of the lineup as well. He was genuinely one of my favorite European players. We got to cast him so much just because Outlaws pretty much entered anything, anything with a prize pool. They were like, yeah, $10 if you win. Do you want to play? It's on HLTV. Well, yeah, sure, we'll come along. I'll bring Cirque.
Host your own tournament, the Squid CS Classic.
Or Legend Series.
Or Legend Series, yeah.
There you go.
There you go. But it's not got your name in it.
Squids, yeah. I might talk to my boss, see if we can get the Squid Cup. Or the Squid... I think we should get the Twitch chat out and see what was going on.
You think so?
Yeah,
right,
we'll pay the Twitch chat. Let's find out. Let's find out what people at home are saying. Maybe they're roasting me. Could I stand up? Oh, look at that. I could stand up. Do you want to stand up and look at Twitch chat?
Stand up?
Yeah, look at this.
What? And where's Twitch chat on my phone? I'm getting it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I don't want to accidentally show anything Twitch chat says bad on stream. That would be bad.
Well, you don't have to show it. We'll just read it out.
Okay.
Just read it out. I want to see what Twitch chat's saying as well.
Here we go.
I certainly do want to know. There we go. That's what's being said. Will we hear our own voices?
No,
when is the game starting? Says the Resh plays. We're just waiting for both teams to get in the mix and stuff. We'll be bringing you the game hopefully as shortly as possible. So you're not waiting for us by any means. We're just waiting for I think Kinguin to get into the server and such. And then there's some laughing face. How many people have we got? Do we know?
750.
750.
Listening to us
just chibber-chabber about glasses and Counter-Strike and such.
You pronounce it
glasses. Oh, does that really freak you out?
I mean, I just say glasses. I'm a posh boy.
Just say you
glasses.
Glasses. No, I do grass and glasses and
not a fan.
What do you put in your car? Do you put gas?
Petrol.
If you got any questions, by the way, chuck it in that Twitch chat. We'll be answering your questions for the next. No matter, I don't really know how long we're going to be here for. Hopefully not that long. Hopefully we don't have to get through as many questions. But if you have got any questions, just chuck them down. We'll be looking in the chat. Hawker, does Margaret Thatcher have girl power? Is that an inside joke?
Yeah, I know that person. Yeah, she has girl power. Oh, look, we've got a picture-in-picture.
Fantastic. Looks like it's going to be Nuke. We weren't expecting to see it today. Not Train like I predicted that I said yesterday. I mistake that for Train. But I wasn't expecting any Nuke at all. And perhaps the reason why we could have perhaps said that this was slightly maybe predictable is we can't really pin Squared down. We know that they are not fans of Nuke at all. I've actually got it as one of the maps that they don't play. So they don't play much Counter-Strike, but they play Nuke even less. I feel like just because they are such an underdog, they can throw a spanner in the works. They can decide, let's put it to a map that we don't know either and just see what happens.
Yeah, I think Nuke is the perfect map for that as well. I mean, just seeing if you can get off to a good start, maybe there's a chance. If they do have, again, they are the unknown quantity. If they have put time into Nuke, if they have got outside smokes lined up, maybe even sometimes you will see fast A plays even work because sometimes teams on the A site hold, they're not necessarily ready for such a quick push to come in because it is quite a hard bomb site to crack, and so they won't necessarily have the best setup there. So I think there's chances again, and I would, especially for this game, if Squared start on T side, that's what I'd really like to see to allow them to get the control early on.
yeah, a lot of the time we might see a team get a really good start on the T side, and then when it flips over, they just don't have the defense and they start to crumble. That's actually something that we saw against Epsilon the other week. Squared had that fantastic first half. I think it was 11-4, something of that nature. Epsilon started clawing it back, felt like they were back in the mix, and then Squared closed it out, shut the door, slammed it shut before Epsilon could sneak through and slide into Group B at this main stage.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the background right now. The gun is just in your head.
It's in my head.
It's just in your head. If someone pulls the trigger, you're dead.
There we go.
I guess the knife is pretty close to me as well.
Yeah, you're being
I'm in
threatened by the by the backboard.
It's a nice knife though.
Yeah, it is. Do you want to get it out? Do you want to slash someone?
Where's that camera? Hello.
It's over there.
We've got everything here. Look.
Should we get? Yeah, we've got the
karambits.
Kevlar vest. Put the Kevlar on. In fact, no, you have to take it off the wall as well. We've got Kevlar down there that we were going to put on. Looks like teams are getting right into this server now, so we shouldn't be waiting all too long. So make sure you stay tuned. What's our questions looking like? Is it norm? Oh, okay, I won't read that one.
Kinguin or Squared? Kinguin?
I love you both, but right guy needs to eat more. I'm on the right. No, because I'm on my right.
That's you.
Right. But
I'm definitely
on the screen, you are on the right.
I am on the right.
Yeah. I asked Hawker if he wanted to borrow one of my shirts. He went in to try it on. I didn't actually see you in it, so I don't know. Yeah. Was it this one? Is this one you tried on?
I don't remember.
Nah, the blue one. The blue one. I
just remember it definitely didn't fit.
So I got him to try on one of the shirts that actually didn't even fit me, and apparently that was far too big. How big was it? Was it like wearing a sheet?
Pretty much. It wasn't great. Wasn't great. Ooh, we're getting some nice cinematic shots though. Oh, hello.
Oh, look at this. Let's cast some Counter-Strike right into the knife round. Oh, maybe not.
Who knows? Who
maybe
knows
not.
At this point? Radlan's just decided to mess us all up. You can see his whole team looking at him, disappointed. Miku's running over. He's going to give him a stern talking to.
Maybe a slap as well. Maybe some physical violence and abuse, perhaps, from this Polish side. Something that...
Live on stream.
Yeah.
Could happen.
Yeah, sure.
At least we could show off the cinematic shots. This is really nice. Get to see the players jump around.
Looks good. Looks good. We are well known for some of the best production out there. But yeah, I wasn't really expecting all too much nuke today.
Not particularly. I was actually saying that Pride sometimes leave it in as a sort of gambit maybe to see if the opponent really want to play it. But yeah, I wasn't really expecting Kinguin to go towards this map, especially in the first game of the day when they certainly could run the risk of being caught off guard by Squared. But here we go, knife round coming in, and it will be Kinguin choosing the side. So maybe Squared will get to start on T. Yeah,
perhaps. I think that will probably be forced out of them. Yeah, Kinguin starting on this CT side, but wanting to maybe build a pretty rigid defense early. You don't want to be giving an underdog like Squared even a look into this game. We are really predicting and looking at Kinguin to shut this first half out.
Yeah, and we are going to see Kinguin just go for 5 sets of Kevlar, relying on that superior aim they believe they have. And Mouse should certainly hear a couple of steps here. The push is coming in towards outside. And Miku spots a couple of opponents, finally pulls the trigger, but doesn't quite connect. So now it's up to Mouse to hold the A site, and he's going to get the 1 kill. Frags across the board for Kinguin. They get 3 frags between them. You can see as well, Spiro also getting 1 himself. Just Jordan left. And this round is pretty much done. Again, as I was kind of saying earlier, it's just everyone on Kinguin showing up.
That split was a mix of fantastic and absolutely abysmal. They got straight into the site, but as soon as they found the firefight and actually lost the first 2 players, they slowed it down. They couldn't really get the shots rolling. And you see Squared Esports have only found a single frag. Jordan's stuck in an impossible situation where he's going to have to eliminate another 4 players and find an ace. And you can see this Mexican standoff of the one Glock just trying to face him down, and it's really not going to happen. And you can see as well, Kinguin just not taking any chances with him, deciding not to pile him, and they will take the first round convincingly.
pretty much what we were expecting. Kinguin are ready to get that first round, and they will just go for a couple of rifles to make sure they secure this second round win. Mihu isn't going to get the helmet, which could be somewhat dangerous, but the rest of the team will certainly be able to buy up. You can see Squared themselves, they do have a fair amount of utility. So it seems like a couple of smokes will go towards outside. This is something we're expecting to see very, very often to try and cut things off. However, already... Oh, Impulse actually gets the first kill there with just the Glock. Sorry, the Deagle opening things up. And that's somewhat surprising to see as they get their way down towards Secret.
Darting downstairs, pistol in hand, Mouse is up close and personal. Here's a thunder of footsteps, but it's Squared instead to come out on top. Finding a smattering of frags, and it's Rallen. Has to break open this attack. Finds one, and Squared, they're slowing it down once again. They've got a speedway onto this site, but instead, Cap finds a single kill. Rallen needs to rotate into position and stop this bomb plant.
He's already found 2 kills, but he's going to need 2 more to win this clutch. And oh, okay then. Rallen just gets destroyed on the peak.
That was a juicy headshot.
Yeah, pistol coming out on top, and Kinguin themselves will have to force up. They have a little bit more money than Squared did themselves, so they will get the 1 scout in the mix. However, the utility certainly isn't particularly there, and I certainly wouldn't be surprised to see Squared try and just go towards outside again. They found success there previously, and they will indeed try to line up at least only actually 1 player pushing out, so I was expecting more presence, but it's just going to be Cobra to go first. Especially
with such a rifle-heavy setup. It is Sparrow to fire off the first shots and eliminate Dav down to 4 HP. He's still rocking and rolling, but he's pretty injured, limping away.
At least he's alive, but yeah, certainly not looking too healthy. In the meantime, Kinguin's still just taking things fairly slowly, not going for too much aggression, even though they have the pistols. So you can clearly see they are still confident enough to just hold off and force Squared to make the play themselves. Especially with Squared being the underdogs, they are going to hope that Squared, under the pressure, might make some sort of mistake. But we will see the AK now given back to one of the players with higher health. That's nice to see as they go in towards ramp, and Kappa caught with a nade in his hand. Rallen was there, but he does get the trade kill back. And in the meantime, the AK will be recovered. So just a 1-for-1 trade in towards ramp.
Yeah, this is pretty much dead even right now. Nick's a little bit low, though. Does a bit of damage towards Sparrow. Gets caught out in the open once again. Kinguin seem a bit discombobulated and disorientated on these initial pushes. And a 3 versus 4 feel like they're going to have to fall back and save.
Seems like that might be the case here. They do, of course, have that UMP recovered, so a slightly better save than they initially would have expected, but good job from Squared there. Despite having some struggles in towards ramp, only getting the even trade, they did realize they can afford to fall back. They spotted out the aggression elsewhere from Kinguin, and that really allowed them to make sure they could hit that A bomb site. And Mouse is going to play for the exits here. Doesn't want to just save the CZ. Does get a headshot as well, so that's another AK lost. It won't be picked up by Mouse just yet, but they're going to continue to push him. Mouse gets a second, and the bomb finds a frag. So decent economic damage as Mouse gets hungry for more, but not quite going to find it. Either way, Squared is certainly going to have to heavily reinvest.
Yeah, that's stolen away AK-47 as well. Kinguin wouldn't have been able to afford that rifle. You can see very light on the weaponry elsewhere. Kappa still on that pistol. Sparrow as well with a CZ in hand. That stolen away AK-47 being the only rifle pickup. You can see on Squared's side, they've got 4 of their own. Taking a tickle of damage early, Impulse down to 31. But with Squared aggressing onto outside, feel like they're going to have to split across A and actually go for this solid execute.
Seems like that might be what they have in mind. We'll have to wait and see if that is indeed the case. Still going to be playing fairly slowly on the Squared side of things. In the meantime, Spiro sneaking up close, crouch walking out there. However, Squared are not particularly positioned in towards Secret, instead wrapping their way through Heaven. There is actually, though, Chev, who is somewhat near Secret, so we could see some action soon, but a very calm and quiet round so far.
Just going for this solid setup. You can see the AK-47 maybe about to go for this wraparound. The PD50 doesn't win that firefight. Nix instead finds a headshot, and there's Impulse trading one in as well. Putting 1 to 2, pen to paper. But Maz and Mihu both chipping in as well. That AK-47 going to good noose, but only finds a single kill. Back onto this site though, and that bomb is down into no man's land. Mihu gets caught out, and Squared should be able to take this round.
Yeah, Rallen should be caught out, takes some damage, Peek comes in. Chef doesn't quite get the kill, but the damage is done. The bomb will go down. And Kinguin, despite having the bomb drop down, Mihu was still in a pretty tough position. As soon as he falls, the round is basically over. And so Kinguin will instead have to look forward to an upcoming gun round. But doing some more economic damage would certainly be a decent shout here from Rallen, because remember, previously they did a lot of damage. Not quite going to come through, though. The final frag comes out. And so we'll have to look at what Squared's money is like. They do have some cash built up, but you can see the investment into the AWP means it's not necessarily as much as they may have hoped for.
They're going to be forced onto an eco pretty early if Kinguin can put anything on the board. Of course, Squared, great start for them, but here is where the challenge comes. Kinguin with rifles and a pretty decent setup. They're a bit light on the mollies, as per usual. It's Maus throwing one early. Now they've got nothing to work with. That nade wasted as well. Kinguin can't afford to lose these frags. It's all about the Angels now, as outside, Squared making the aggressive play known, straight through the smokes, down into secret. And Kinguin just falling back, playing passive.
It's fairly tough to play with the AWP on the T side of Nuke, so we'll have to wait and see if Impulse can find some success with that weapon. We were kind of expecting him to potentially be the standout player for Squared. However, let's see if that does come into fruition, because Squared, yet again, taking the start of this round very, very slowly. And Kinguin are just letting them gain control towards outside. They themselves don't have too much utility, so they can't particularly go for too many aggressive plays unless they just rely on their aim, which isn't necessarily something you want to be solely relying on to win you the fights.
It has been one of the problems for Kinguin last couple of rounds, giving away way too much real estate. Outside, wrapping around onto the A site, allowing Square to go for these executes this time. Possibly going to be this B collapse, with ramp almost completely taken. The mollies to ensure that. Chev with support, going to rotate down to B, and Kappa's got a lot of work to do. He's going to have a lot of targets.
Ooh, Kappa might get caught off guard. The door is opened up. Kappa should have heard it, but he only gets the one frag before Nix pushes in for the trade. And now the B site looking very, very open. 13 seconds left, and just about the bomb should be planted, but Maus might have something to say about that. He tries to push forwards, and he gets himself a double. In the meantime, Rallen does get taken down, but Squared still have a man disadvantage to play from. And this next fight could settle the round. Maus is going to go out first, and he gets the headshot. Very, very nicely done from Maus. Triple kill for him in the round. Chev, try as he might, will not be able to hold off 3 opponents. Mihu finishes the round, and Kinguin do manage to solidify their position.
Maus had no business getting 2, let alone 3 kills there, all with the M4, all crisp, beautiful headshots, straight onto the B site. And this is what makes Kinguin such a scary side. Their ability to just absolutely tear faces open. Maus showing us why he's such a star power name. 7 frags on the board already, just keeping the ball rolling and getting Kinguin back into this. You can see Squared now having to go for full reinvestment. Bit light on the nades as well. Dav and Jordan with absolutely nothing. This is going to be an eco if they can't pull this one through.
A couple of smokes will be deployed, but NYX trying to force the fight first. The smoke will be deployed, and so not too much damage done either way. But Sparrow was there with the AWP, so I was kind of expecting him to get the first frag. Nonetheless, Kinguin will still just play from the even position, as already we can see the push coming in. Chev going to make his way forwards, and Spiro is caught out in the open. And now he's going to make his way through rafters. Rallen could be in trouble. He will now be compromised. But Chev decides not to push in. Rallen holding, misses the spray, and Chev re-peaks for a very, very quick headshot to give his team the man advantage. And Chev keeps on going, taps off the heads. Kappa will finally put an end to the madness, but he's got so much to do. And NYX finishes him off.
Kinguin have had a couple of flashes of brilliance. Of course, Maus downstairs, previous round. able to hit a bunch of headshots, but overall they've been falling flat. Squared instead been hitting their shots, and you can see the scoreboard, everybody stepping up for Squared so far. Dab hasn't really been able to get it rolling yet, but everybody up onto that 4 or 5 kill mark, and early in the game, that's kind of what you want to be putting together. A nice start for them, and you can see again taking out side control, and Nick's incredibly crisp. Eliminate Sparrow early, and these pistols look a lot more vulnerable.
Certainly seems to be the case. There is the one UMP in the hands of Kappa, but won't really be expecting Kinguin, especially losing the first man, to be having too much success.
You can see that map control taken as well. Squared are absolutely swarming, especially the A site here. Kinguin receding back to B. You can see not taking much map control of themselves. I want to see Kinguin take a bit of aggression, take a bit of a chance. In the next round, get up close and personal and stop Squared before they can go for these executes.
Rotation comes back up, but a lot of damage done. In comes the nade, and there we go. Rallen will be finished off by NYX. He gets his second on the round. And more importantly, as he was saying, Squared just have so much presence all across the map. Kinguin cannot hold it off. The bomb will be planted. And what can Kinguin really do from this position? Maybe try and save what they have, but even that isn't necessarily going to be all that useful for them into the upcoming round. So fairly tricky position for them to be in. And it looks like they are just going to play fairly safe.
No rifles to save either. I'd like to see Squared play as a death squad of sorts, with all the AKs bunched together, not giving anything away to the Polish team. Of course, 2-5 now the scoreline, with Squared starting to run away with this first half. If they can force another eco out, oh my lord, Jordan. What was that? Absolutely a very fast shot. I'm lost for words. Squared look incredibly crisp.
Yeah, and again, Kinguin just don't have the money. This is starting to get a little bit out of hand, and I kind of said it in the pregame. I wanted Squared to start on the T side, where they could dictate the pace, where they could try and play their game, and that's exactly what we've seen here from Squared to start things off. That's what has allowed them to get the 5-2 leads, and this is certainly giving them the best possible chance at causing a big, big upset here in the opening game of the day.
Just one scout on Rallen. A set of Kevlar held on me, who's back. I saw Kinguin have to work with in this round, and they're up against the 5 AK setup of Squared once again. Impulse did want to get out that AWP early. Looked like he wanted to get it working, but instead wanting this fast run and gun potential. Squared, I feel like they're probably going to find more success just playing with the 5 AK setup and bursting onto the site together, trying to capitalize on split up Kinguin teamwork and discoordinated side. And as they take more and more rounds, I feel like Kinguin are only going to falter more and more and play a bit looser and not have backup or coordination to be able to go for the trades or refrags. Kills coming in left and right. These pistols not really doing all too much, only finding the 1 kill. Bit of damage elsewhere. Maus and Rallen, or was Rallen, have to make something work.
11 HP and pretty much nothing to do, to be honest, at this point. Again, Squared do have full AK, so maybe getting a kill would be nice to force some sort of reinvestment, but Squared are going to have decent money already built up. MYX is somewhat by himself. He's low here. The push comes in, but Maus can't quite find the head, and the chest shot was not enough to finish his opponent off. And at this point, I wouldn't even mind Kinguin taking a timeout this early on, because they are already 6-2 down, and you can see even this buy isn't really great for them. They have a CZ in the mix. The nades aren't particularly there, and that makes it very difficult, especially holding outside. When those smokes come over the top, you can't really do much if you don't have the nades yourself.
Everybody with rifles apart from Rallen this time. CZ in hand. Right in his back pocket. Everybody else have this 4 sets of rifles. Again, no mollies for Kinguin. They've not been able to stop these pushes eventually when they come in. Squared been very slow and methodical, meticulous with the takes. Kinguin haven't been able to pick that apart or, in fact, do anything about it. Don't seem to be hitting their shots right now. Certainly not hitting the level of consistency that we wanted to see from them. A dream start for the Serbian side.
And they are going to continue to play slowly. This is what's been working for them so far. We haven't really seen them go for too many A pushes just through lobby. And this is going to be fairly difficult to make it happen, as already Rallen up close gets the CZ to work. No real follow-up from Squared. They're not going to commit to the push there. And that's why you don't see the A plays come through all that often, because it's very, very difficult to hold it off. In the meantime, even trade towards ramp. That forces Spiro to attempt to rotate over, but he can't particularly hold it off. So again, Squared gain map control, although this time they are at a man disadvantage.
3 versus 3 now, pair of M4s on the Kinguin side. Again, Rallen hasn't been able to salvage a rifle just yet. Finally picking up an AK-47 as Mouse again, absolutely brutal onto the B site, finds another follow-up headshot. 2 versus 2, Shev looks to be caught off guard. Rallen spots the gun barrel, capitalizes, and Dav is so low, has to hit a quad kill. I don't think it's going to happen. He's going for this re-rotate round. Sparrow stuck in no man's land. Dav could actually find some gap here, but now the bomb's not planted for him. Has to make this engagement. Misses an easy headshot. Has to go around. He might actually do it, Dav! What are you doing? Both headshots. 6 rounds for Squared. This is the dream start for the Serbians.
How does he win that? How does he win that? I have no idea. The bomb was on the other side of the site. I thought he'd messed it up. I thought there was just going to be no time to get into position. And yet still he manages to get both kills there. That defuse must have been close, but close is not good enough for Kinguin right now. They're already 7-2 down. And they are in some trouble here. Again, we have seen sometimes these pistols get a kill or two, but not really be too competitive in the rounds. So looking good for Squared to take that 8-2 scoreline. Unless maybe Spiro has something to say about it, but already Dav opens up. Spiro waiting patiently, goes for the peak, spots the man, but the flash comes in and Dav seems to be aware, but Spiro still takes his head, gets the AK for a second kill, but there we go. Eventually Squared will shut him down and keep themselves a man lead.
Looked like he wanted to burst his way out, but wasn't able to do so. Kinguin still stuck on 2 rounds, and looking like Squared are going to take their 8th, planting that bomb. Kappa actually doing damage with the CZ, picked up an AK of his own. Impulse might be caught in no man's land. He's able to find that follow-up shot, and another headshot. Impulse closes it out, and Kinguin falter once again.
And it's Impulse looking fairly good in some of these recent rounds. I did say coming into this I was expecting him to be the real standout player, but it's actually mainly been NYX so far who's been fragging out for the team. Either way, here comes a full buy for Kinguin. The Poles have the AWP into the hands of Spiro. They have decent utility to go alongside it. So they can now finally try to stop any outside aggression, but Squared have also shown they don't necessarily have to go solely towards outside to get the round wins. We're only really going to see Impulse sell some presence over there while the rest of the team holds in towards lobby.
They've worked wonders with this 5 AK setup. So far this game, Impulse not been favouring that AWP, or nades apparently. Has nothing after tossing them away outside, playing all alone. As Kappa, they're about to funnel and pour into him. He has to hit at least 2 here. No opportunity to fall back. There's 1, traded straight out. Perfect teamwork from Squared.
Just pushing together as a unit, making sure that Kappa could only get the 1 kill, and Impulse still could make the difference. He hears the rotate down. He should be able to know they are in towards vents, and that might allow him to open up. There goes Rallen, caught off guard, and Impulse gives his team the man advantage, and now Squared with the B site and the man advantage, again looking great shape.
Absolutely phenomenal decision-making from Impulse, deciding not to dunk down vents and give away his life back into a 2 versus 2, but instead keeping alive, staying in shape. Find ourselves finally in a 2 versus 2 with Nyx going down, but Impulse still rocking and rolling. Mihu's already found a pair, but finally goes down. Sparrow with the AWP, can't do anything. Squared are going to be 1 away from double digits here. What's happening, Hawker? I'm really flustered. Squared, this shouldn't be the performance. This shouldn't have happened so far, and I've never seen anybody hold there either.
Yeah, I didn't know you could live there, but yeah, it's just been Squared pushing together as a team, and Kinguin not really being able to do anything about it. I was kind of wondering if we were going to see Kinguin themselves get up in Squared's face and not let them set up these plays, but we haven't really seen Kinguin get enough confidence to go for the aggression so far. So that's allowed Squared to play their own game, and maybe that's part of the reason why they are 9-2 up. And again, we did say as well, it's a little bit strange we've gone to Nuke, and Squared have looked very well prepared here for their T side.
Incredibly hoping that it's going to hold up on CT. Sparrow able to find an initial AWP pick. So crucial since they are lacking economy, equipment, pretty much everything. 3 rifles, one of them's an AWP, but Rallen up close with a CZ, utilizing it at close quarters, eliminating Jordan with a headshot.
A couple of players holding it towards B here, but in the meantime, Squared are finding frags towards the A site. I say that sometimes the A site can be vulnerable with Kinguin not really holding with too many players, but it's still going to be a 2v2 retake, so that is very, very doable. Chef's going to go down the vents here. He might go for the big flank, and in the meantime, Dav gets that all-important frag, which means Spiro with the AWP is going to elect to save yet again. Squared 10-2 up. They're going to get themselves double digits, and Kinguin might be having some issues as someone drops from the server.
Yeah, look like there's probably going to be a technical pause here if their 5th can't get back into the game before the next round, of course. Now double digits for Squared.
Ooh, and it looks like the AWP won't be saved. Spiro in a whole world of trouble. The bomb takes him down, and the AWP will indeed not be saved by Chev because the AKs have been doing wonderfully for Squared. We will indeed see the timeout come through. I was kind of expecting to see a tactical timeout earlier, but this is still a chance for a little break in play for Kinguin to discuss what's been going wrong. We are going to see Spiro yet again have that AWP, but he's not particularly been able to do too much in these recent rounds. And actually, Impulse himself there did buy up an AWP, so it looks like Squared do want to get that into his hands. We saw this a little bit earlier on, but we really haven't seen it in the recent rounds. So this might suggest Squared want to go for something different to utilize that AWP.
It's just a bit of insider information because, you know, Squid CS knows everything. Kinguin have just got to Warsaw for their boot camp, literally minutes before this game started. That was the reason for this slight delay in play before. So they've only just sat down, put their feet up, got the computer on to play some Counter-Strike, and obviously they are not in shape for this initial match.
They're going to have to get in shape soon, though, if they want to compete here, because they are already fairly far behind. Yeah.
Got to get on the treadmill, get the exercise bike out, New Year's resolution in play. Kinguin, not in shape.
Not in shape.
It's a joke about them being fat, because that's what not in shape means.
Yeah, I get it.
Thanks.
I'm just gonna let that joke hang for a second.
Why the heck?
Wow. Rallen here, gonna try and go for some aggression. This is more what I wanted to see from Kinguin. Try and get in their opponent's faces, as I have been saying previously, but it's Mouse who got that first kill elsewhere. And in the meantime, Rallen will still cut off the push, but it's Mihu coming up the vents. He's thinking about going up, but I was going to say, would be ill-advised, even with the UMP, and Rallen did push through for that kill himself. That was a very important piece of aggression to give his team a big advantage, but MYX proving that Squared aren't out of this one just yet, as he gets himself the opening for Squared.
Dav might be the difference maker here. He's found a gap right behind, but Chef goes down, trades come through, and Dav actually gets spotted out. Headshot leaves Nyx this impossible situation. Cap is able to take him out, eliminate him. 3 rounds now for Kinguin. It's barely enough, but at least they're getting onto the board. A quick pause in play here.
Again, maybe a break that could help out Kinguin. I mean, we are, again, going to see them in these recent rounds have more success. Again, as I was also previously saying, I like the fact that Rallen did decide to go aggressive there. He did decide to try and make a play. That's not something we've seen enough from Kinguin, so it's good to see they are having some more confidence to go ahead and play their own game.
Yeah, and Kinguin, they just seem so lackluster right now. Nobody's really hitting their shots. I'm not impressed by anybody. Their nuke performance has been exceptionally weak. I said this needs to be a convincing game as well for them to really stand any chance in this group. And I know results don't carry over, and score lines more specifically don't carry over game to game. I said that we want a convincing scoreline here for me to feel confident about the chances, but getting back into this game now, Kinguin haven't looked convincing at all, instead quite the contrary.
Let's see what Squared decide to do on yet another gun round. They have been struggling in the recent ones. And again, Impulse trying to work a pick with the AWP in towards Squeaky, but he's not going to find it just yet. Mal's just going to deploy the smoke to make sure that AWP cannot find an opening frag. But in the meantime, a couple of Square players are going to make their way forwards towards outside and sneak their way in towards Secret. We've seen this a couple of times from Squared, and the B-site hits have been very successful for them in terms of not only getting the bomb down, but also being able to win those trades early on. But Spiro is in position with the AWP, and now Dav has to get this kill, but he's not going to find it. Spiro doubles down, and Kinguin finally finding their footing.
That's the bomb forfeited as well. Jordan trades one out, but it's not nearly enough to salvage ramp. Instead, it's Chev to step up with two. Breaks open A, has to fall back. Bomb in no man's land means Kinguin can fall back and set up a defense around the C4.
We are going to see them fall back in towards lobby. 40 seconds, but Kappa caught off guard. Impulse so quick on the trigger. And Spiro, despite doing all the work early on, still has to salvage a 1-on-2, and it's not going to happen. Chev himself makes a big play to salvage the round, and even the double AWP saved for the last round of the half. Not going to use them, though.
I'm speechless. Squared just seem so dominant in this series. Kinguin scrapping together a helpless spy in this one with 2 M4s and 3 pistols surrounding. It seems Squared might close out this nuke in exceptional fashion if they can put together the pistol. It'll be early. If they can't, they still do have to fight for the victory. However, they've got one more opportunity to sweep forward onto 12 this half.
Kinguin themselves, though, starting to go for the aggression, but Rallen doesn't clear his back, and that allows Jordan to shoot him in the back and take that first kill yet again for the mostly Serbian team. They get themselves that opening frag fairly easily, and in the meantime, a dink does come in. That's Nyx taking some damage there, but still shouldn't be too big of an issue. Squared still able to gain a fair amount of ground towards outside. You can see the man on the other side is Spiro with a CZ fairly far back, so he's not really going to be able to compete too much in towards this position, and Squared should pretty much have free reign towards outside.
I'm just not very impressed. Not very impressed at all by Kinguin. Again, Rallen getting caught off guard. That's one of the rifles gone, and Squared Esports salvaging outside control. The Molotov seem perfect. This meticulous play, picking apart Kinguin absolutely perfectly. The nade's coming onto A though. Spiro trying to find an angle of his own. Caught off as well. Squared again on A, but Kappa does burst into life and action as Jordan has to fight his way out. Unable to do so as Mouse capitalizes. 11 rounds for Squared, but Kinguin finally get onto 4.
Yeah, Kinguin just about getting a few rounds there, but still definitely did not look convincing from them. I think the surprising thing is that on the Squared side of things, they are all stepping up in terms of frags. It's not really one player standing out, which was what I was expecting. Maybe if they had a chance, they would have to have one player step up. But it's been mostly a team effort and just them pushing through together on their T side and finding those trades that allowed them to get those rounds.
This pistol obviously so crucial for Kinguin if they want to make it to that winner's match. Otherwise, they're going to have to fight the way up from the bottom bracket. Burst outside early on means Mouse is going to find that first frag, collapsing in on Impulse as they do draw closer to the A site. They're swarming it like flies. Upstairs is Kappa being the point, prodding his way in. Nobody's dealt damage just yet, but Chev does hit a preliminary headshot. Counted out by Kappa. Rallen finding frags as well. Means Kappa's actually got to make this work. He's all out of bullets. Means Nyx can capitalize. 2 for him. Back into a 2v2. Means that Rallen and Spiro have to work their magic. Here, hidden in vents with his beautiful, cute little fade. Dav as well doesn't know where to look, in front or behind, back or forward. The bomb is down, so it's all about hitting the headshots, and Rallen's going to nail one instead. Nyx, he's already found 2 kills. He's got a kit, everything to work with and play for. This round it's effectively for the match for Squared here. This pistol, and he does spot out a dome early, missing the initial shots. This bomb still being cordoned off by him. There's only one angle of approach for Kinguin, and he does find that first headshot. A 1 versus 1 now. It's Nyx looking for this final kill, going in for it, taking shots but missing. This is so wild. It's like a game of KZ where he's missing every single jump, and Nyx is going to find it. How messy was that?
Such a back and forth round, such a sloppy round, to be honest. But Squared won't care how they get their round wins at this point. As long as they just close this out, I'm sure they'll be more than happy. It was a bit of a mess, to be honest, but Squared still take the round, and that's all they were looking for because it puts them so far ahead. Kinguin might just try and go for some all-out aggression with these pistols, see if maybe Squared aren't prepared fully for the push, but Incendiary's already coming in. The SMGs will play up close, and Squared should be in prime position now to take this game.
The smokes are up and perfect as well. A dunk down as Kappa does find one and a second. Nice headshots as the pistols chip in. Impulse should be caught out from behind as well by a diving P250. It's Sparrow, find one more, but Chev still rocking and rolling. Famis in hand. And Sparrow's here to hold the back line with a scout, a weapon he is all too famous for. Chev trying to find either one of these kills. He's unable to do so, so Kinguin, maybe a new leash of life. Good work with the pistols.
Yeah, Kinguin just about staying alive. As I was kind of saying, we were expecting to see some all-out aggression from Kinguin in that round just to try and see if they could get something going. And they did manage to get those opening kills. It was mainly Kappa who got those 2 first frags, who really allowed them to open things up. And so now Squared themselves will have to see if their pistols can find similar success on the CT side. Not going to see too much action early on, but as I say that, push comes out. Dav finds a man in the back. Mouse is going to get 2 kills himself with the AK, and it seems like those rifles might be doing enough to close it out, but Nyx could still make all the difference here.
This surprise factor has been so good for Squared Esports, but this time Kinguin, hold on. Should be able to close it out to a 6th round here. Mihu gets caught on the side. Absolutely sideswiped by Jordan, who has this CZ still. You can see frantically looking for any angle of engagement. Missing that AK, goes back for it. As he wants to go for this rotation on towards B. It's an incorrect call as... Oh, is he actually rotating towards Heaven? He's got so many opportunities here. And Heaven would be the correct one as he hears that bomb go down. I don't know if Kinguin will be expecting this. He's going to have a great angle of engagement here. And there's the first kill. Spots out the feet of a second one as Jordan actually taps him down. So low health, and Sparrow has to hit a fast frag. Jordan hasn't got the kit though. Needs to nail 1 bullet, 1 shot. As the wackiest angle of Counter-Strike is shown on your screen. He isn't peeking it though. Sparrow, when's he going to peek? Where's he coming from? He's got 3 seconds left. He's got to go for this shot, but a full 10-second ninja. What is going on?
All right, then. That happened. Just stuck the defuse. Why not?
What a mess.
Just,
this game is a mess.
Just a 10-second defuse.
This game is a mess.
Yep. Look, there's a Bison now. There's a Bison, just to make it better. Up against AKs, we've got a Bison for Chev. Let's see what that does. That's going to get 3 kills. With how this game has been going, he's gonna go huge.
Are we sure we got the team names the right way around? Should I ask production?
We'll have to wait and see if Kinguin can get it done. They still have the buy here, and the push has come in towards ramp, so they will gain some ground early on. Chev has taken some damage. I believe he fell back, so Dav has been the man forced to rotate over, but Rallen over towards outside does get that AK to work out. We will still see Chev with this Bison trying to hold up close. If that gets a kill, then I don't know what to say.
Sparrow, AK-47 headshot is Squared Esports. Just need to close this one out with a couple more. Mouse has a nice surprising angle, but he is being collapsed in, but he finds both anyway. Nyx, the final member, right in his highlight. Oh my lord, Nyx does find that shot, 2 for him.
Surely not another clutch. Surely not. 1 on 2. This is what we saw last round. Bomb's still not planted, but never mind. I tried to hype it up. It's not going to happen. Rallen finds a second kill himself. With how this game has been going, though, if Squared force here, they could still very much compete in this round. We've seen almost all weapons find success in some portions of this game. And we are going to see them go for the force. Nyx has himself the UMP. The rest of the players are just with the pistols. And they will try and hold some close range angles. Kinguin should just go towards outside here. They have the AKs, but they're deciding to go in towards lobby, which is a little bit scary. You can see the push could come towards them. It seems like Spiro has been able to win that opening fight for the team, just to make things a little bit easier. Still a little bit dangerous for Kinguin to go so close in towards lobby, but it seems like it won't cost them yet.
You see, Kinguin, they're finally starting to wake up, and this is where they're so dangerous, because Square Esports are certainly not out of the woods. They've still got 3 rounds to find, and earlier we said perhaps they won't find that many in the entire match. Couple of kills, and Kinguin with a flawless round, keeping all these AKs alive. And if they can actually get a foot in this half, and if they can have the momentum and the ball rolling, perhaps they can find a look into this one. They're only 6 behind now.
Starting to get a little bit closer. And it did kind of feel like Kinguin were not firing on all cylinders earlier. So maybe if they can now on their T side step up, there's a chance for them still in the game. But still a decent way to go before we can say that is for certain. Up against the full eco here, though. This should be a very easy round. Push comes in. Rallen gets that first headshot. And the A site is now wide open for Kinguin to do whatever they want with it.
There's USPs all around. Shouldn't be able to find any real damage, but speaking of the devil, Rallen does go down. Sparrow as well, all out in the open, gonna concede more and more frags. And this is really one of the weaknesses of Kinguin. They do overface when they're feeling confident, and they do have massive advantages. They sometimes get a little bit complacent in that department.
Not going to cost them the round or anything like that, but it will cost them a couple of AKs. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. They have the money built up, and Squared are fairly close to, of course, map point anyway. So shouldn't really be seeing Kinguin's economy come into question too much unless we have a fair few close rounds. And we will just get to see Dav with the USP, see if he can find something. I don't believe those AKs are too close to him, so I don't think he's going to be able to find one, especially with Mihu here. Mihu, did he not see the opponent there? I thought Dav was out in the open. Dav now has the AK running forwards, and he gets another kill. So we will get to save that AK at the very least to help the Squared buy for this upcoming gun round.
I'm seeing a level from Squared here that I don't see out of many teams in competitive Counter-Strike nowadays. This is an absolutely outstanding upset. If they can actually pull it off, this would be absolutely cataclysmic and throw this group into absolute turmoil with Kinguin going down into the bottom bracket and making the loser of the next match. This losing match even harder. Jordan, that's an initial kill. Kinguin have to burst downstairs. Rallen has to be a difference maker here. He's given so much space. Gifted by these smokes, and oh, Mao's missed it. He didn't see anyone. Oh, does hit the follow-up headshot. Nice fast reaction. Felt like that was perhaps called by Mihu, who might have been watching his screen. And that's a fast kill from Sparrow as well, so perhaps Kinguin are finally starting to wake up.
Couple of players get a couple of kills, and Kinguin do look in good shape to take the round. Chef does get one frag back. But in the meantime, the rest of the team will push towards B. Chev, though, is still here, and Shapiro won't spot him out. Chev trying to work an angle, but Kappa takes him out. So it's going to start to get a little bit dicey now for Squared. 13-9. Probably just going to have to go back to the pistols here. And I think it's really been Kinguin just starting to find their footing as the game's gone on. Not necessarily because they're on the T side. I think it's just them warming up and getting into things. And now that they are here, this is a very, very scary prospect for Squared.
Squared have to shut it down now. With these pistols, the next buy round, they cannot let Kinguin get back into this game. Of course, extremely, exceptionally close. I would say perhaps Kinguin are maybe even in the lead as of here. Sparrow going down fairly low, being dinked and domed early on. Has to fall back, keep this LWP alive, and instead letting the AKs do the work. Breaching A, and Jordan's next in line. Ranlon looks sharp. His A is taken, and Chev's left alone.
Well, Spiro could be caught out here, but the smoke will help him cross. Does hear that shot, and Chev does push through, but Mihu was there just to make sure his teammate would stay safe. So Kinguin will take another flawless round. Their money will be built up. But here it is, the buy for Squared. An AWP into the hands of Impulse. Rifles across the board. Full nades to play with. For Squared, this is now a great opportunity to finally convert another round on their CT side. And let's see what Kinguin decide to do. They should be aware that Squared will be on a buy here. And yet again, a fair few players going towards outside. But now they're making their way back in towards lobby. So we could see Kinguin try and work a play in towards ramp, maybe try and work down to the B site, especially with Rallen getting down secret so quickly. Look at the aggression. He spots the door being opened, but he still sneaks his way forwards, and now will hope to get an opening kill.
He's done this a couple of times now, cutting off the rotations, and yet again, Jordan getting caught off guard. Dives down and gets eliminated by Rallen. This B site looks extremely compromised with Rallen here holding off the rotation. Chev caught in a horrible situation. And normally in ramp, when you spot out the player, when you have the information, you don't usually fall back to B, but that wasn't an option with Rallen still here, roaming, hidden away, peeks out for another headshot. And Squared, you can see these bigger gaps in their defense starting to develop and starting to appear a little more prominent. With Rallen just darting straight down. They need somebody to count him out of the round. I want to see somebody push through a smoke, Square get a bit aggressive, perhaps outside.
Yeah, I think both teams have been a little bit timid on their CT sides. They've been trying to just hold passively, but there's always the risk of giving up too much map control, allowing Rallen to get into positions. And as you have been saying, time after time, he's been the man playing aggressively. He's not necessarily been the best fragger so far, but he has fairly often been able to win those opening fights that then have sort of forced the rest of the Squared defense to collapse and allowed the rest of Kinguin to sort of spot out the rotates, win fights themselves. And it seems like this should be a timeout from Squared.
Yeah, and this is effectively just a systematic breakdown of the CT side's defense. It just seemed like as soon as Squared switched sides, they didn't have that same flair. They're obviously not controlling the pace of the game, which they controlled extremely tight early on. Remember, they were playing extremely slow setups as well. Kinguin didn't really know what was going on. They were like, are we playing against somebody here? Are they sleeping? Because Squared weren't going for any pushes at all until the 45-second, the 30-second mark, that little Na'Vi sector of the clock where you're pushing last second. And now they're finally taking a tactical pause where, of course, you're going to be discussing that CT-sided setup, and I want to see a bit of aggression out of them.
Yeah, I think as well, we kind of saw Kinguin on their CT side. They started out with not too much aggression after losing the pistol. They didn't necessarily go for any big plays. We are going to get
Yeah, this is a replay of earlier. This was such an important moment, remember. Meant that they barely had any economy to fall back on, and getting back into this game, 11-13 now. Let's get rid of my face and watch the game. Kinguin, obviously 11 rounds, starting to come back into this one. Impulse waiting outside and does find that first headshot, but Rallen's still salvaged secret control. Once more, look, he's down there again. What a menace.
Every single time, Rallen loves to make his way down, and Squared have not done anything to deal with him so far in this round. They haven't particularly tried to cut him off. So Rallen will try and make his way forward, see if he can make the play for the team. But still, good to see that Squared get themselves that first frag. And Rallen opening up the vents. Here's again the player come down through the ladder. We've seen that time and time again. Rallen finding success on towards the B site. And that brings us back to an even position where yet again Squared are forced to make some rotations. They're forced to switch their setup to sort of counter what Kinguin are doing.
Of course, level back to a 4 versus 4, stretching out the CT defense, favors the T side. On Nuke, with the bomb sites extremely close and pretty much attached to each other, it isn't such a difference maker, but Rallen once again on the flank, puts Dav in a sticky situation. Oh, he does have to peek out. He's given away his position already. Rallen finds that headshot, goes for the pre-fire, and it's Mouse instead to capitalize. Impulse has to go huge up top. Headshot after headshot, finding so much damage but no frags. Chev instead bursts behind, and Kappa's so low. Chev could do this, and he does! A headshot! 14 rounds for Squared.
Chev there coming into position, gets himself a fair few kills, brings it to the one-on-one, and even though the bomb was planted, Chev was in position, waiting patiently for his opponent to walk into his open arms. Now the question is, can Squared win this follow-up round? That was a very, very tight win. They're not going to have much money built up, and if they lose this one, they could very much be looking down the barrel of this game becoming incredibly close, much closer than they would have hoped for. So this by now means so much for Squared.
They're going to have absolutely nothing, and it's outside again, the one weakness of the Serbian defense. Really sniffed out already, and you can see Kinguin gifted secret control once more, and they're straight downstairs. They can pretty much abuse and pick apart this B site. One head found. It's Chev has to back off to take a bit more of a passive angle.
Ooh, Mal's going in first, and he will get that headshot. And now Chev is going to have a lot to do towards B. The rotate will not be successful as Dav goes down. Chev needs this kill, but he doesn't have the ammo, and he has to do so much here. Molly comes in, he goes down, and Squared one by one fall apart, trying to get their way back towards B. And this is not looking good now for Squared. Even if they save the rifle, the money will be in a terrible position for them. And again, we have been seeing Kinguin time after time push towards outside. It is hard to hold off, but maybe just try and molly off one of the smokes, make a big gap there, use the AWP to see if you can get a pick. Just do something to stop them from getting down secret so quickly, round after round.
Why does Chev not have the ammo in that scenario?
Yeah.
He's stuck in the corner with Kinguin members approaching. He's only got about 6 bullets to fire away. Can't hit the second player. Doesn't even do enough damage. And Kinguin take the round once again, and they are firmly in the driver's seat at this point. They're controlling the economy. Squared aren't onto match point. They haven't secured overtime by any means right now. And finding 2 rounds out of the next 4 is going to be a very daunting task.
And Squared, as we were saying, are in an abysmal position in terms of their money. Looks like they will have a slight investment, but Kinguin in fairly good shape to take this back to maybe even a 14-14 scoreline before a buy can come in. And that puts this game very much up in the air. And to be honest, it feels like with how this game has been playing that Kinguin might just pull off this comeback here. Nades towards outside early on. Impulse holding with the USP, but Miku will instead force a fight on towards the other opponent, and it will be Nyx going down first. The outside presence yet again comes in for Kinguin, and they can now wrap their way in towards A or go down secret. Plenty of options for Kinguin.
They're looking like the far more dominant team here, very reserved, and this is where the pressure really starts to mount. With Squared, obviously, a lot of pressure taken off their shoulders early, knowing that they're massive underdogs, but as soon as they start getting close to that finish line, seem to be choking, perhaps. As we approach this 30th round, Kinguin just picking apart this defense once again, only pistols. And they are doing decent damage. Chev out in the open as well. Not going to be able to get one of these AK-47s, but he does burst and do damage again. AK picked up. He can't nail the headshot onto Maze. Unfortunate at that. We will see some more Counter-Strike.
Yeah, and Squared probably can't go for the force here. They're going to have to, again, just go for the pistols on their side of things. Might be worth just pushing somewhere as a team in a round like this. We saw in the previous round they tried to spread out. Didn't particularly work well for them, but we'll get to see maybe if Squared decide to group up and go for some sort of aggression. It seems like a couple of players are sticking together in towards ramp, but not really going to see any push come out. So they're just going to try and see if Kinguin maybe make a mistake, but doesn't seem too likely. In fact, Kinguin already pushing out towards A, and Miku does get that first pick, and that is the A site yet again wide open.
Double eco territory this time for the Serbian side. Of course, 14 rounds, not nearly enough to be able to close this one out. Mao's going to go down again. It seems all too common, almost tradition at this point, for Squared to take 1 or 2 frags every single one of these eco rounds, no matter how little economy and utility they have. going to be saving for this next big buy. They're going to be getting at everything, Hawker. They're going to be putting the sauce on the sausage, everything for this next round.
Yeah, pulling out all their savings, buying whatever they can. Wouldn't be surprised to see an AWP as well. I believe one of the players have been saving up some money.
I certainly wouldn't be surprised to see a double AWP setup, something that Squared don't always go with. That's an AK-47 save, so a bit of extra bang for their buck, but Jordan falling back, doesn't need to go for this peek at all. Could have just hidden behind that box, decided he wanted to take an additional risk. It's going to be the full rifle setup, though. No double AWP for the Serbian side again. Impulse on that one.
Yeah, let's see if Squared switch anything up in terms of their outside hold. Maybe try and have someone go down vents quickly to get in towards Secret and counter that aggression, or just have Impulse here with the AWP, but instead he goes in towards Mini, so they're just going to give up the outside presence. Kinguin have proven when they have had outside that they have been able to close the round wins so far. And Squared now will rotate down, but Kinguin yet again almost starting the round as we've seen them on this T side every single time, with players in towards Secrets. And 4 players already stacked here, could be preparing themselves for that B push. Molly comes over, Nyx will stay safe, and Kinguin slowly but surely just going to hold off here. I thought they were going to make their way forwards, but making sure they know exactly what they want to do before the push.
They don't need to. They've got so much time on the clock. Impulse has actually changed up the defense and holding downstairs this time, but a quick headshot eliminates him early and leaves Jordan with a lot of work to do. Turns around, capitalizes, and he goes down. B site completely compromised. Nyx here. He's been found out as well. Chev finally does put a kill on the board, but there's Chev again chipping in, being such a difference maker, and that's the bomb down as well. Kinguin making a couple of fundamental mistakes in this one. Nyx here tucked away in the corner as well. As Chev goes down, means Nyx has to step up, and Dav helps him out with that frag that looked a bit messy. Looked like he wasn't going to be able to take that one home. And Maz and Sparrow once again looking for this crossfire. Dav misses, Nyx capitalizes, and Squid finally find match point.
There we go. After so many rounds go against them, Squared will get up to 15. But it's still all up to round number 30. This could very much still go to overtime. We are going to see Impulse yet again with the AWP. The rest of the team with the rifles. Wasn't particularly the AWP that made the difference in that round, though. It was mainly being able to get back towards B, somewhat switching up the setup that seemed to find them success. And you can see Kinguin now not going for as much presence outside to start things off here, possibly switching things up after realizing Squared were finally able to shut down that B play.
Mihu just thrown away his rifle, wanting to pick up that AK-47, maybe fake a bomb drop there over towards the A site, force an additional rotation. And CSGO being such a game of small margins, they will obviously throw little fakes in like that. And Jordan gets dinked straight through the wall, has to fall back to a head glitch spot of all angles. Puts a lot of pressure on his shoulders to actually hit the shots at that point. As Rallen, once again, this menace downstairs, looks to break open B once more. Hidden behind this window, he might be about to send in a surprise party. A parade from behind as he's about to catch one off guard. The lurk is perfect. And Rallen, oh, he's right behind Chev here. He's looking for this headshot, and he does find it. Straight back onto B. That Chev gone. Impulse trades it in as he looks to eliminate Ramp. One Lemmy's down in front of his, spots the second. He's got to take a shot sometime soon. Nyx chips in instead with 2. Myers trades it out, 3 versus 2.
25 seconds left, and Kinguin have to go now. You can see them making their way back up towards A, but Squared don't have anyone really towards the A site. Nyx now is going to try and come up, but the molly might force him back. And you can see Nyx doesn't want to take the risk, so the bomb will go down. And Squared are going to play for the retake, play for the win, right here, right now. We are going to see Mihu, though, try and see if he can play a sneaky position. But it's still mainly up to Dav to take the first fight. Jordan trying to come up, but already Mihu does get the first kill from Heaven. And there is still that second player down towards the ladder. Mihu takes another fight, and Jordan could be locked out. Mihu doesn't quite hear it. He needs to check this, but instead it's Mouse who comes back in, and we will be going to overtime. Such a tight affair at the end, but Kinguin just about keep themselves in with a shot.
Messy counter-strike, a horrible CT side for Squared. Their opportunity to close this one out over, it's gone. They have to face Kinguin in overtime now. Of course, the 5 AK setup brought back out for Kinguin. It's worked wonders on their T side. They've been absolutely brutalizing this Serbian team's defense. And Impulse, he's got the AWP out once more, needs to do some damage, needs to be that point man and get aggressive, try and take the damage forward. But instead, it's Kinguin slowing the pace down, holding back, Squared left to sweat.
We did see Kinguin have their very strong T side just previously, so if they can take that here into overtime, then that could be the difference maker if they get off to this good start. You can see Impulse, though, trying to gain some ground for the CT side. Not quite going to go for the push, but he's certainly going to hold the angle in towards Squeaky, but it's still Rallen always going in first, always being proactive. And Jordan on the other side needs to try and get this opening kill. He needs to shut down Rallen, who's been doing so much on the T side for Kinguin. But Rallen will not overextend. He will stay a bit more safe, at least for the time being.
Game one, and we're already being treated to a cheeky bit of overtime. Jordan just holding this angle. You can see how cautious he is about going for this pick and peek. Instead, it's Kappa. The first time Kinguin have been ahead in the last hour of play. The nades pour down onto the A site. Mihu does too, takes some damage, wanting to fall in the smoke, but Squared falter once more. Kill after kill, and it's Impulse instead. Can't put 2 on the board. Instead, it's Shev from behind. Going to be eliminated. 16 for Kinguin, but it's not the 16 that we're looking for. Now they want 19 to finish this one off.
Yeah, and as always in these overtimes, Squared could run the risk of not having the money for the last round. And with how Kinguin had been playing there back in regulation, if they do win this round, which certainly seems likely, then they could just completely annihilate the CT defense and give themselves a great chance for the win. Smokes towards outside. Dav is going to try and hold this off. He gets in towards Secret very quickly. But this time, Kinguin don't have any players following up. Instead, they might go for this A-site push. And Squared won't really expect this. We haven't seen Kinguin go for too many pushes towards the A site so far. If this push comes in, I don't know if Squared will be prepared.
Looks like a solid split. The Molotovs rain in, and Impulse finds the first frag once more. Nix again finds one, and Rallen able to trade it out, but that nade's got a touchdown. Rallen gone. 2 left. Mouse and Sparrow have to peek in and poke through. Instead, held out by the AK-47s, and Shev's up close and personal as well. He should be able to cut off any rotation that comes in. You can see Sparrow extremely cautious about any corner, and Shev, yes, it's an easy headshot. Sparrow gone, and Mouse almost next in line, should be 16-16, but disappointing for a Squared side who've been struggling to put any real rounds on the board from about round 20.
Well, Mouse is still going to try and give this one a shot.
Ooh.
Does get the kill, but he is already dead, so it doesn't matter. We go back to a 16-16 scoreline, and it seems as though on the Kinguin side of things, they will continue with the AWP in the hands of Spiro. We saw there Kinguin try and switch it up, try and go for a fast A push, which can be successful on occasion, but Squared this time, even with really only one player fully committed to A, they still get the hold successfully. And so we'll have to see if Kinguin now do default back to the outside, but look at the CTs. There's a couple of them pushing. Jordan, first man here, gets 1 kill, but in comes the trade, and the rest of the team doesn't commit. The smokes aren't there, but still the headshots come through. The AK's just winning all the aim duels, even with that 1 smoke missed. It didn't even matter, and it's looking good for Kinguin to take the slight edge into the second half of O2.
Shaky shots outside, it's 3-4 for Squared. And it's Sparrow just watch down these angles. Broken's Law, Mihu picks up the AWP, and Sparrow, AK-47 in hand. Unable to put up the frags as Mihu misses as well. Flash and molly out. Means Shev is going to be sent running, tail tucked between legs. As Kinguin with a minute left choose their poison. Shev again, both finding frags. Nix this time, straight in the chest. And both these Kinguin players are exceptionally low. Mihu from behind. Big trade comes in, but Kappa, a crucial clutch.
Ooh, Nick's just going to run through the flames. So much damage, but he still gets the kill himself. Plenty of time for the defuse. And Squared finally getting some rounds on their CT side. 17-16 up. If they can play their T side like they did in the first half, they should be in fairly good shape. But I'm not sure if that will actually come through or if that was just Kinguin being a bit slow to start off the day.
And Nyx, 32 kills on the board, leading the charge for the Squared side. They wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for him. If he was playing tightly close to the pack, keeping the average, I'm sure Squared wouldn't have made it to this overtime. But finally, creep ahead once more. And now they're on this favoured T side. They've got the AWP on Impulse, something that we didn't see all too much of on their T side. Now, putting it into commission and just holding back, waiting for these smokes and mollies, of course, not going for a push straight out. This time, Kinguin have all the mollies, have the smokes as well, something that wasn't all too common earlier when they were defending.
Looks like a couple of Squared players will group up in towards ramp, but there is Spiro with that AWP, gets the opening kill, and he decides it is more than enough to get just the one frag. He will fall back, but Mihu tried to rotate over to help his teammate, and Spiro wasn't in position to really do anything to help Mihu out. So that means that now Rallen might be the man taking the fight, going aggressive. He's pushing the smoke. This is dangerous. Dav waiting, goes for the sprays. Very, very awkward fight, but Dav comes out on top. And now Mouse is going to have it all to do on the A site hold. The players are about to push forwards, and Impulse is also here. How can Mouse hold this off? Well, he does get 2 kills. Oh. Impulse needs to come in. Dink comes through the wall. There's the kill, but in comes the rotate. It's such a sloppy round, but it's back down to a 1v1.
What is happening? Sparrow, AWP in hand, cannot hold this bomb for much longer. With 30 seconds left, Chev should be in prime position to take it, steal it away, hold back, but the AWP! He hits the shot, makes its mark, and Sparrow finds a 17th, closes the gap once more.
Just about taking that round. It was looking good for Squared, though. If Mouse doesn't get 2 kills from that position, it's such an easy round for Squared. However, instead, Mouse slows things down, manages to get not only the 2 frags, but he also forced Impulse to push him with the Glock. That left him vulnerable. And so now this is still anyone's game. 17-17. These teams cannot be separated. And Squared again going for the outside smokes, but there's some aggression from the CT side. It's Mihu holding up close here. In the meantime, Kappa gets an opening with the nade. The push is going to come in towards him. Sprays does get a second kill. And Mihu did find that frag towards outside. That's a big gain for Kinguin, up to a 4v2 in their favor.
They were winning all of these miracle situations earlier on today, but right now it's Kinguin all over. The Polish flag reigning proud, and Nyx is going to be the final man to fall. It's going to be match point, the first time we've seen it for Kinguin. It's been a long time coming as well.
Diffuse will come out, and it's Kinguin now who have the chance. They might be able to close it right here, right now, and Squared won't actually have a perfect buy. Impulse will be forced down to a CZ. AK going to be brought up by Chev. The rest of the team should follow suit with the AK-47s. And we are going to get a little bit of a timeout just before we head underway. Just to hype us up a little bit more before we head into this all-important round that could be the last round of this first game.
And that tactical pause, so crucial for this Squared side, of course. They're starting to fluster and crumble. They are really struggling at this point. Squared, they just need another round to secure a double overtime.
We will just wait things out. Squared, of course, need to make sure they don't make any mistakes in such an important round. I'll be interested to see what they decide to do in such an important round where they have to take the win. We've seen them try to go for some outside play in the past. Kinguin, though, recently have been able to shut that down. We saw Mihu decided to play aggressively in the previous round. That one kill made a huge difference, and also the presence that he sort of got towards outside to make sure that Squared weren't pushing in towards that position. And here we go. The unpause will come through. and Kinguin will have their chance now. They have been waiting for it, but they've got the opportunity to take the win right here, right now.
And you can see Jordan really struggling in the economy department. 10,000 start money really does take its toll when you start to lose multiple rounds in a row, and Squared Esports have been doing exactly that. 2 in a row lost, and he's stuck on the CZ.
Flash does slow things down, but Spiro will not go aggressive with the flash. Instead, Squared going to group up. This could be a very fast push in towards Mini. Rallen holding around the corner, only gets the 1 kill. And in the meantime, Jordan CZ does get a frag. Spiro finally finds one in the back, but the A side, oh, that was the bomb. That was the bomb drop down. This is such a tricky position now. They're going to make their way back. They're going to try and get the bomb, but Spiro is there in the smoke with the AWP of all weapons. Doesn't get the kill, and so now the bomb could be picked up. And both Kappa and Mihu are on the other side of Mini. You can see the bomb is salvaged, and Squared should be now in a great position to close us out and take us to another overtime. But still, 2 players left for Kinguin to try and pull this off.
Lightning might be striking twice for the Serbs. Straight onto this A site bomb, not planted just yet. Kappa from behind thinks he has a great angle. Needless to say, it's absolutely horrific. Nyx is holding it down with true concentration, truly attentive, and it's Kappa instead to nail it through. Needs this final frag, but Jordan, it's only 12 HP, 1 bullet needed, and he finds it. Double overtime.
It's as simple as that. We're going to yet another overtime. It was looking fairly good for Kinguin. They dropped the bomb down, but the smoke came in. Spiro up close in the smoke, couldn't particularly do too much with the AWP. And as soon as the bomb was recovered, the rest of Kinguin weren't really in position to stop the cross to the site itself. And Kinguin here, gonna go for 2 AWPs. This is not something we've seen, and this is a fairly big risk. As you said earlier, the money can become a factor in overtimes like this. So if they lose this round, that's something to look out for. But at the same time, maybe the AWPs will make the difference for the Polish team.
The CT side was pretty crap earlier. I didn't really see anything to sing and dance about. Mihu up close with the AWP, actually takes an aggressive shot, connects onto Jordan. He's gone. Darting down into Secret. A death squad straight onto the B site. Destined with this bomb on Dab's back. Molotov's through and pouring in. Chev not going to take that initial frag. Instead, Nyx nailing a headshot. Mihu's found one in the meantime. And a 3v2.
And Nyx still trying to work a fight, but instead Chev himself gets a kill. And there does go Nyx, finding a headshot. And Rallen now has it all to do. Rotating back down through the vents. Needs to make sure he doesn't make any noise as he makes his way down. But for all he knows, a player could be in the vents, so he doesn't want to necessarily take such a big risk. Here comes the bomb plant, and Rallen will slowly but surely move into position. He's actually in a fairly good spot here to try and take a 1v1 fight. But as soon as he opens up that door, that should give away his position. I don't think those windows are open. Rallen's still just playing things slowly. Now he has to break the window. They know where he is, and that allows Nyx a very easy spray down. 3 kills for him, and the first round for Squared.
He had a checklist of 2 positions he could check. He picked the wrong ones, got unlucky, and Squared take a 19th round. Enough said. This time, AK-47s and the AWP again on impulse. It's been a bit hit and miss whether they put it onto his back or not. This time deciding to definitely do that. He's been great for the opening frags on Nuke. It's so hard to get it rocking and rolling, but Kinguin losing all 5 members. Remember, they invested into a double AWP setup. Their economy is going to be an absolute shambles if they lose this one.
They do still want to go for the AWP in the hands of Spiro. So still a fair risk to take, considering the position they're in. But they really do, as you were saying, need this round. And again, we've got a trio of Squared players making their way forwards down towards Secret, gaining a lot of ground towards the B site. And Kappa is going to be the first man here on the hold. Can he get a kill in this position? It's very, very close range. And Kappa's going to try and catch them off guard. They don't clear him,
Lord.
but Kappa whiffs the spray, only the dink. And that allows Chev himself to swing back around for the headshot. That could be a critical miss, as now Squared have the B site. In a 4 versus 4, the bomb will be planted, and still a fair amount of utility left for Squared. A couple of mollies that could go in, but look at the aggression. Mouse and Mihu both get a kill each, and now it's looking good for Kinguin, but still kills coming in. Fake defuse comes out. Nyx does get that headshot. Now we're back to a 2v2. It's so back and forth. It's so sloppy. Sprays through the door, gets the kill, and Mihu finally finds one back. Who even knows how this round is going to play out? It's been so back and forth, trades everywhere.
He's not got a kit.
But Mihu, yeah, without the kit, this is so difficult. Jordan does face, but Mihu doesn't know where he is. What a round, what a back and forth round, but Squared winning it are now in a great position. Just look at Kinguin's money.
An absolute catastrophe for the Poles, 18-20. And one more round of this half of overtime left. As Squared, they might be about to make the clean sweep on their T side. They pretty much did it on their T side of regulation, but here in overtime, it's a completely different beast. Of course, Kinguin, they've got 10,000 to work with from the start. They've got out the double up setup, looks strong, powerful. But Squared just seemed too strong, and absolute miracles in the late portions of each and every round, with the AK-47 spray down coming in time after time. Kinguin, they are stuck in a horrible situation. Mihu trying to trade it back. Sparrow as well, both headshots. Mihu, he's sick of this. Finds 2 for himself and leaves Jordan all alone.
Out of nowhere, Mihu gets 2 kills. A couple of kills come out from the pistols, and Jordan has a very tricky position to play from. Mihu goes huge in the round to get himself 3. And Kinguin, again, just about stay alive. They are still slightly behind, but we've seen Squared already struggle to close out their leads. Maybe that's going to be an issue continually for Squared here, because, again, that was a round they should have been big favorites in, but they couldn't quite close out the round win.
And right now, it's Squared just firing on all cylinders, but Kinguin with another opportunity. Now the T side awaits. One that they were exceptionally strong on. Sparrow's got that AWP. Everybody else with rifles. Mihu already out of nades, tossing them all away early. A couple of kits for Squared. Obviously very nervous about spending money with such a tight overtime. These rules not very common, but Squared going to be finding that first frag regardless.
In the meantime, Rallen again in towards Secret, but this time he will be shut out. Finally, they stopped that aggression from Rallen. It's Chev who takes him down, and in the meantime, Impulse chimes in with a kill elsewhere with that AWP. And Kinguin, 1 by 1, try and make individual plays, and it ends up costing them. You saw Mihu trying to force the issue there out towards Squeaky, trying to hope to push through a smoke. Wasn't really that necessary. And so now Chev holding off the AK, doesn't quite connect. He's only on 19 HP, so might try and play safe. The molly forces him back out into the open. And very well played from Spiro to get 1 kill back, but it's still just the 1 kill for Kinguin in the round.
Doubt even damage with that Molotov. 30 down, and Mouse does find a shot as well. Spiro misses that crucial firefight. Can't connect with the frag, and Mouse in a 1 versus 3. First headshot out, straight out onto the A site. That bomb, oh, he is going to fake it. As Jordan gets caught out. Unbelievable. Mouse hits another headshot onto this A site, and he looks to dodge and weave around to find his 3rd of the round. It's Mouse to go down. Impulse finds it instead. Match point for Squared, and they've got a pair of them at this point.
So close, but so far. Mouse with the triple still doesn't do enough. And Squared, I said they might struggle to close it out. That's what it seemed like from the previous rounds. Now they are right there. They just need 1 more round out of these final 2. Will the pressure get to them? That is yet to be seen. Again, we will get to see, of course, full buys for both sides. Exactly what you want to see. Even AWPs in the hands of both teams. And Kinguin, again, seem to be going for some play towards outside. I would like to see them group up before going for such aggression. And it seems like this time they are going to hold back a bit more passively and stick together in towards lobby. So hopefully they won't lose any of those opening picks like we saw in the recent round that really costed them.
Impulse has that AWP once again, just needs to find perhaps 1 more opening to close this match out and get themselves into the winner's match. Of course, he is holding this more passive angle. Sparrow and him both playing patiently. both just waiting for the peak to come in. Feel like neither of these stubborn AWPers are going to be forced out of position. Instead, Impulse flash back. Going to have to fall back. As Sparrow through the corner of the smoke. Can he actually spot it? Remember that smoke stretches a little bit further on our ChallengeME servers, and that AWP missed by both players.
Still no damage dealt. Well, Rallen takes 4 damage, but nothing considerable. But here comes Mihu. Rallen does get the first kill, but Mihu in for the flank could make all the difference. Just 1 kill is all he needs, and there we go. Gets it. Dav is spotted out. Mouse takes him down, but Chev does get up the vents quickly enough for the 1 kill. Still 3 more to find. They do face, but they do win the fight. Kinguin managed to take the round, and we could be seeing another overtime because Squared, again, not quite going to have a perfect buy, but it's still certainly going to be a competitive round nonetheless.
Yeah, remember we're in double overtime already. We can be going all night if we want to. And remember, this is only match 1 of the day out of 6. We're already about an hour behind schedule. Kinguin, Squared, they don't care. Obviously, Squared, 5 rifles is out, but it's far from ideal. Pair of Famises, no AWP for Impulse.
It's always Rallen going in first, seeing if he can find any opening positions. Ooh, Dav taking so much damage through the door. 10 HP is all he has left after the initial damage is deployed. In the meantime, on the Kinguin side of things, they have got that outside presence, but not particularly going for too much aggression just yet. Rallen, I believe, is making his way in towards Hell, and he might try and go for some sort of flank, but still not seeing any fights here at the early stages.
And of course, 1 more round needed for Squared. And oh, misses the shot. Sparrow needs to capitalize, but doesn't. It's Chev instead to find 1. Jordan as well. Everybody picking in and poking through. Just 1 player left. Mouse. This marathon of a match might be about to finish. As Mouse stuck in an impossible 1 versus 4. He's caught all out of the loop, out of the action with this bomb, wanting to rotate back to A. And instead just being tagged down. He's been spotted up and found through. And with only a few moments left, he's got to salvage something and make his way back to this B site. But now he's taking the firefight, going to go down 22-20.
Such a slog, such a long game, but eventually Squared do close it out. You saw there, Nyx had 41 kills at the end. He started very well. He performed pretty well throughout, but I think the start especially he performed well in. But surprising to see Squared still close it out in the overtime. I thought maybe that's where they would struggle to actually take it over the edge.
So the biggest upset of Legends series comes to fruition on your screens before your very eyes. We'll be back with Nikita's bar right after this break.
Welcome back, guys. What an explosive start to the day. Double overtime and an upset. Can't believe Squared beat Kinguin right there. Kinguin are going to drop down and we'll see who they face off against, but I hope the next match will be just as exciting. With me right now is Tyler Endres, co-founder of Esports Arena. So we have a number of teams, and actually whoever wins this whole path to Santa Ana will end up at your arena in Santa Ana.
I hear they're coming out. Yeah, my phone's going off. Maybe they know I'm on right now. Yeah, I hear they're coming out to Santa Ana, to beautiful Southern California. Actually, I'm out here. It's first time in Germany, and it's not so sunny right now.
It's not. It's pretty cold. Yeah, nothing like that
It's
beautiful
super cold.
temperate weather of California. So tell us a bit about the arena. Like, how big is it? And
Yeah, so I mean, we found the arena, like 4 years ago, actually. And then it took us about 2 years to build it. So the overall footprint of the arena is 11,000 square feet, which I don't know.
That's pretty big.
What's it go to meters, though?
I have no idea. I'm not a calculator.
So yeah, it's pretty big, and then we've got its own production studio. We have our own 100 plus computers, and then we've got we got I don't know 80 Xboxes, PlayStations, you name it, all that sort of stuff. That basically any sort of esports competition you want to host at our facility or we want to host at the facility, we can host it.
Yeah, I've heard it's awesome. And during the week, I think it's open like as a LAN center, so people sign up as members, come and play, and you host like theme nights every night during the week.
Yeah, the biggest thing for myself and my partner was we loved playing video games. We wanted to go to places to play video games, but we never wanted to pay per hour, right? So that was the biggest thing. Like no one likes to go pay, what is it, €5, €5 an hour to just sit there and play video games when really we could play at our home. So the biggest thing for us was like, okay, well, what if we did a monthly membership model to where you could just pay your fee to let us sort of make money, right? Because we got to pay rent and everything, and then let people play whenever they want. And that was kind of the key. That was the whole sort of basis and the foundation of starting the company. And since then, yeah, we've grown and we have our own league nights now. So we do a lot of Super Smash Brothers. We do a lot with Street Fighter V. And so actually this weekend's our championship series, 2GG championship series, starting today, later on tonight, I think 5 p.m. Pacific time. And then we've got the rest of the weekend's the whole championship series. So yeah.
Yeah, I think 5 p.m. Pacific is we're about 10 hours ahead.
We're 9 hours ahead.
9 hours ahead, so that's going to put it about 4 in the morning.
Yeah, it does.
Like that.
It's pretty late.
Yeah,
but,
it's pretty late. But it's Smash, and if you're a fan of Smash, it's $50,000. So it's like it's
the
huge.
Biggest
so
prize
it's definitely
pool. The biggest prize
worth
pool in
watching.
Smash. So yeah.
How good are you at Smash?
I know how to smash the buttons on the controller. No, I'm not too good. Back in 64s when I played Nintendo 64. So I'm sticking to PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds right now.
So good. It's so addictive.
That game, we were just playing it.
We
right?
were, and so. I didn't do too well, but like my boss got a kill, so he's really happy about that. He's in the background. I don't know if you guys can see him. He's very happy.
No, it was pretty good. It's pretty good. That was quite an exciting match, though. It was tough to break away from PUBG to watch the match, though. That was intense.
It was really intense. So, I mean, going back to the part to Santa Ana. So, the whole format is, we're sending one team. I think a team's coming from China, and then two teams are coming from you guys.
From us,
So, when are you hosting your Legend Series part to Santa Ana?
The 10th of December.
Okay, cool. So, that's quite soon.
It is quite soon. Is when we're doing our online qualifier for the Legends Cup. Excited to sort of team up. It's our first sort of competition to where Europe, China, America, under the Allied Esports umbrella is all teaming up together. And then ideally, well, instead of coming to Santa Ana, later on next year, we'll send you guys to Vegas. That should be a lot of fun.
That will be awesome, yeah.
So that's coming along pretty well.
Yeah, well, I mean, it looks amazing. And who doesn't want to go to Vegas?
No, that's been a very fun project. We're looking to open that early next year. Cool. And it'll run very similar to Santa Ana in the sense that, if you come out to Vegas, you can just basically come out and play whenever you want. Or watch whatever tournament we have going on.
Cash matches,
always.
Halo. I think Halo. Wade and I are going to do some Halo matches when I come out for sure.
Have some Halo, probably more Counter-Strike than Halo, I would say. But yeah,
got to throw back to Halo 3.
Oh, for sure. No, Halo 2. Halo 2
now. We all have a house favorite, so we'll definitely do something.
Halo 2 is the best.
But yeah, all right. Well, thanks a lot for coming over. Hope you're having a good time. We'll do a bit more PUBG. Everyone tune into 2GG Smash tournament. If you are up at 4 in the morning, it's definitely worth it. It's going to be great. And I'm going to throw it back to the casters for the next exciting game for part to Santa Ana Group B.
Never gonna give you up.